Alright, how's it going everybody? This is Ismortah, and this evening during my 7 p.m. Central, in this case, board game stream, gonna be showing you an unboxing of sorts and a storage solution. So I'm showing you the game castle from Gamegenic, an unboxing and what you can do with it. And what I'm demonstrating this evening is how this is actually a great solution to augment using the core game and expansion of Twilight Imperium to store all the contents for the game. And I'm showing you why it's great and one of the great uses you can use for the game castle, just because you can store so many tokens and cards and bays for other pieces that it really is a great solution. So I'm going to take you on this journey and show you why. And of course, if you like what you see, be sure to comment and follow here on twitch.tv/Ismortah. And if you missed the live stream, no worries, you can catch this video as well as all my other vids previously on YouTube at Shadow Balance Games. And so what I have you here, that's great English. What I have here is the box for the game castle. There are multiple colors for the game castle that are currently out, and I think this came out a couple weeks ago. But this is the black one, which I thought was pretty cool. And you may be asking yourself, why is this called the game castle? Because it in fact looks like a Super Mario Brothers castle, which is pretty cool. Pretty themey, it's pretty simplistic in its design, so it's not an eyesore. At the same time, is attractive to look at. But I want to show you how this can be used with Twilight Imperium. So first let me show you what the game castle is all about and how it's different from previous iterations of storage solutions from Gamegenic. One is it's a case they can carry like a briefcase, which is pretty cool. It's not some weird box, it's heavy, you have to carry it with both hands. You can carry it with one hand. And as you see here, there's also an attachable strap, so you can put this around your shoulder as well, which I'm not going to attach it for the stream, but it does come with that accessory. So the one thing I want to be careful of when you're using this, though, to remind yourself, is you don't want to open it when it's in castle mode. That's how I could describe it. This is appreciated mode, but if you want to open it, you want to open it when it's face down on either side. Otherwise, stuff's going to come pouring out, at least if it's the token side. If it's the side that you would put like magic decks, they're fine because they're bays that sit like this and the cards are sitting this way. But you're going to have a bad day. Actually, no, the cards were sitting in bays and they're facing this way. So it's like, you're just going to have a bad day. You want to make sure you have it on its side. And so what's great is I'm using both sides to store tokens and miniatures. And that's largely what I'm using it for. Is all the tokens for Twilight Imperium with the expansion, and this is 4th edition, as well as to show in case they can use it to store some minis as well. Because I have twice as many minis, which I'll show you here in a sec, to try to have enough for all the factions, different colors. And you have enough space, you can actually store 16 different minis. So this is one side. This is the side that you would store classically cards, because each of these bays you could just store a commander deck, for example, that's sleeved. But I'm using for Twilight Imperium. So what's great is, like you see, I have 3 bays. I have a plastic bag of miniatures, which stores well. And the reason why I put it in a plastic bag is because the other side it's like the previous Gamegenic product, which the name escapes me. I don't think it's called the Game Cube, but maybe it is. That has all these cube trays, because those trays are flush with this. And these, you see when they come out, they have these pockets so you can pull out a deck of cards with the original design, but it has these holes. So if you have tokens here, they'll fall out. So if you put anything in this side that's not cards or really big, you want to make sure you have it in a plastic bag. That way the bag can't escape when it closes. Because when this closes tight, none of the stuff can move. With the exception if you had little pieces, they could move through here on this side only. And that's why everything's in a plastic bag. But I have 3 different entire faction worth of miniatures, I have plastic bag for each of the 3 main counter types that everybody shares of tokens. Here I have a baggie of all one-off tokens, like there are for particular factions or units or particular things in the game that's not the token specifically for a faction, that's just a different color. So this is the one-off tokens. Here I have slid in between here is the tracker. And then here I have 4 factions worth of their tokens. Their flags and their, I forget what it's called, but they're action tokens. The tokens that you can say, command tokens. There you go. 4 of them. The baggies don't come with this, but these are just baggies that I had to showcase how you could use this. Another way you can use this is to just capitalize use of the other side and have either get 2 game castles or have a game castle and get some more of those cube trays. That way you have enough on the other side to put all this without baggies on this half of the game castle. You still might need it for these 3, but for all of the faction tokens, you would have enough on the other side without having the bag. So let me show you an example of the other side. But then also show you, what you see here, how I package the other stuff for Twilight Imperium so you can reference how I do it. Again, you make sure it's tight, closed, and on its side before you open. So you can see here, you can see how it's very flat. It's flush when this closes. This we have all the other tokens for both the expansion and the core game combined. Again, the game castle is I'm using to store every single cardboard piece other than the player boards. So here, as well as some plastics. Here you see I have a nice place to put dice. Here I have all the other faction tokens for all the other factions. And for these bays, they're a little bigger, and I wanted to keep them separate. I have a baggie for these 2 as well. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, whereas all these other ones are individual faction tokens and dice. And you can see these are also removable. So if you had more, if you've got more small bays, you'd have enough for all 17 factions on this side, which is something I would like to do. You'd have to pay for those additional trays, however you got them. But this works. It's what's cool. You can just buy 1, use some baggies that you got from previous games, and it works fine. So, like I said, I use this for all the tokens and for the dice and for 3 faction miniatures worth of stuff. So let me show you how everything else is stored. Because I took all the jank in here, and let me backtrack a little bit. That was really my biggest problem with storing Twilight Imperium, is you have a lot of space in both of these for storing all your shit, but the problem really was the tokens. There just wasn't a good solution because you had so many, and you didn't want to spend 30 minutes to an hour setting up just because you're trying to find a faction's tokens. Now, obviously, professional people who play Twilight Imperium just have a separate tray for all of the faction stuff, their pieces, their miniatures, their tokens, and just give that to you. I just want to show you a simple solution that if you just had the core game and the expansion and just this Gamegenic game castle, that it still works. And if you're on a budget, that might be the way to go. Granted, I'm also going to show you something cool that I also got, and why I have twice as many miniatures. Because I also have some custom miniatures, and that's why I have twice as many. I have some translucent ones as well. So you see, this is all the stuff from the expansion, as far as player boards. And then here I have even some of the plastic stands, which I recommend going to for Broken Token, so you can have your armies, when you're invading especially, be above the tile that you're attacking, so you can have all the stuff in the same space. And it's clear plastic, so you can see right through it, which is pretty cool. I do recommend. But anyway, it stores this as well. Unbuilt, that is. Here I have 5 factions worth of plastic. Underneath it is where I'm storing all the different card decks for this expansion. And here I have all the tiles for the expansion, as well as the Malice Homeworld. And see, like this is a great solution. It just doesn't quite solve the problem with what do you do with all the tokens, and that's where the Gamegenic game castle helps you out. Now in the core box, this is where you have I put all the booklets, whereas I had all the player boards in the expansion box. I put all the booklets in the core box, and then here I have all the remaining factions of miniatures. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Which would be enough to normally store all the miniatures for the core game and the expansion. Just I have 16 armies worth of miniatures. So, but like I said, just by using the expansion and Gamegenic, you could store all that as well. Even enough space you could fit that 17th faction as well. And of course, here you have the Cruise Homeworld, all the tiles with the core game, all of the strategy cards, and underneath each of these bags, it's pressing down the remaining decks in the core game. So you see, everything fits. It's just, there wasn't a great solution other than these 3 trays of tokens, and you don't want to spend forever setting up the game. And this keeps everything snug. So I'll go back and show you the Gamegenic storage solution one more time. See, here I have room for all these big tubs is enough to hold all the miniatures for one faction. So I'd say I'm holding 3. Then I have all of the trade counters, all of the infantry counters, all of the fighter counters, one-off tokens they have 1 or 2 of, and then 4 factions worth of command tokens and flags. Make sure you hear the snap. I will say also one thing to make sure of it, if for some reason this isn't closing properly, it's because you'll notice this side, unlike the other side, for these trays, they're not flush. It's like they're in these train tracks. So you want to make sure they're in between. If you put it on top like that, see how it's risen? It's not going to close properly. And now that's why. So let's make sure it's in that track. But if you don't hear it click, hear it clicks, you're good. Put it on its side. You see all the tokens are stayed in one place because it closes flush. Here I have all the dice, all the remaining tokens for all the factions. It just works really well. It's like, wow, it's fantastic. I recommend. This way, whenever, and you can even take these out and be like, hey, oh, you wanted to be the, this faction. All you have to do is take out the well and just pass it to the player. It's pretty cool. And like I said, all of these you can rearrange to any configuration you want. And like I said, if you collect additional trays and additional colors, you can really make it your own as well. Like I said, ideally what I want to do is have 9 more of these instead of these bigger trays. That way I cleanly hold all of the faction tokens in one well per. Yep, and that is the game castle. So I definitely recommend. It works. Again, I think the optimum way to store stuff is to have an individual, as far as make it easier on the players anyway, is to have an individual case that just has that one faction stuff that you hand to the player. But as far as if you're the person that's setting up the game and you're carrying it around with you, I think this is the best solution. To have this carrying with all tokens in these 2 boxes. The example, let me see if I can get to it without killing myself. Nope. Don't worry, I didn't die. All right, now that I knocked it over, I was like, I just want to show you an example of what I mean. Is If, for example, like if you have one of these boxes, like when I had for Elementers back in the day, you can have something like this that you have all of the miniatures, all of the tokens in. Ideally, you get like a little bit bigger plastic case, something that can also fit the player boards, everything for one player for one faction. That way, you could just say, "Here is your faction." It's really the best player experience. But for storing and taking with you, Gamegenic, it's a great option. Well, thanks for watching, everybody. This is short and sweet. Again, if you like what you see, be sure to comment and follow here on twitch.tv/Ismortah. You can catch my videos on YouTube at Shadow Balance Games, and updates and schedule on X at Shadow Balance. Again, this is Ismortah. Go get your game on, especially Twilight Imperium.